Hello, and welcome to Odds on Serie A. It's match day 18, the last one in 2023. As always, with the analysis, tips, and predictions on Serie A, we have got the one and only Daniele Fisichella. How are you, Danny?
Ciao Leo, buon Natale, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year, of course, for people who will watch it. A bit unusual to have fixtures in Serie A right across New Year's Eve, but this time around, the Italian FA decided to get the players playing as much as possible in winter and have less midweek rounds further on down the line. Well, we'll see in April, May if this has been a good idea or not, but let's get ready for another good match day in Serie A, of course.
Yes, absolutely. In match day 17, nothing has changed so far. We had Inter and Juventus winning their game, so they're still top of the table. We have good games anyway to look forward. Juventus, Roma especially, but also Milan at home with Sassuolo or Inter visiting Genoa. But before we get going with the show, as always, guys, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell. Now, let's go. Danny, first stop we got is in Firenze for Fiorentina Torino. Probably Ivan Ilic intended to cross rather than score, but still did enough to give Torino a point against Udinese, a point that keeps them 10th in the table with 24 points, not far away from European positions at 28 points. No one could say that is a bad season at all for Torino, but since that very good display against Atalanta in their 3-0 win, there have been 2 draws for them against Frosinone and Udinese, not particularly actually top teams, and without creating many clear chances in those games. Now they're up against a Fiorentina team with 4 wins in the last 6, and Fiorentina team, Danny, that scored just 3 times in the last 3 matches, but enough for them to win for the minimum against Verona and against Monza away on match day 17. We will need to settle for a low-scoring game here, Danny.
Very strange for Fiorentina not to score many goals because besides City and Real Madrid, they are the top scorers of the calendar year with 108 goals in 52 games for La Viola. But yes, the last 2 games, 2-1 nils, and actually in lucky circumstances, they should have lost against Verona. Really, Terracciano was fantastic, and against Monza, he was a gift from Di Gregorio to allow Beltran to score his third goal in 3 consecutive games. Only Martinez scored more goals since October of the Argentines playing in Europe. Of course, yesterday Alvarez scored, so probably is tied with Martinez. But yes, Fiorentina strangely not scoring a lot of goals. Nico Gonzalez is still out. The return of Bonaventura and Martinez Quarta is a boost for Italiano. Fiorentina pushing for that top 4 finish. They got more points in the table compared to last season, and Torino the opposite. Very good season. Only twice in the history, 2013 and 2016, they had more points after 17 games, 25, one more than now. But it's the lack of consistency and the lack of scoring that could be concerning for them. Only 6 away goals for Torino this season. Only 5 of their games have been over 2.5 goals. 2 of them away. Away from home, they average a point per game. And yes, Ilic scored at the weekend, 7th goal scorer of the season. Top goal scorer for Torino, Zapata, only 4 goals. So, Torino really need to start scoring. Despite that, I think they're going to be at least an over 1.5 goals here. I'm going to go for over 0.75 goals in the first half, because normally Fiorentina concedes you a couple of chances at least. So over 0.75 goals in the first half. If there's only 1 goal, you win half a stake.
On the comments, we have Chinoso saying Fiorentina and also over 2 goals for him. Then, Danny, tomorrow we have also Napoli Monza. The expectations for Napoli, I believe, in the Olimpico against Roma were always for a KG game, but even more after they defeat of 4-0 at home against Frosinone in Coppa Italia. And that's what we got in the Olimpico. I mean, a match full of protests to the referee, 2 red cards for Walter Massari's team. Actually, Napoli effectively finished the game in a spottish time with 3 players less because Nathan hurt his shoulder. That is 4 defeats in the last 7 for them, Danny. The only piece of good news lately, yes, apart from the qualification in the Champions League group stage has been that Victor Osimhen signing a new contract until June 2026. Although they will be without actually Victor Osimhen on Friday. Last season we saw a 4-0 for Napoli in this same fixture. Can we expect something similar, or this Napoli is a bit unpredictable for the good and for the bad at the moment?
The answer is no for two reasons. Last season it was match day 2 of Serie A, and Monza were still under Giovanni Stroppa. Then they changed the manager to Palladino and done much better ever since. And Napoli are a shadow of the team that won last season their Scudetto. They will be without Osimhen, Politano, Lobotka is also injured. 5 defeats in 9 games for Mazzarri. You know, he hasn't really changed the complexion of Napoli. They look a very hybrid team. They play 4-3-3 on paper, but they're not attacking in the same way, not keeping the ball very well. And defensively, they're very, very leaky. Only 4 clean sheets so far this season. 6 defeats in 17 games for Napoli. As bad as 2007, 2008. Only 10 points at home, conceded 13 goals, more than Frosinone and Lecce playing at home. So these are really bad numbers. And where is the secret? Well, many secrets. Of course, the chemistry with Spalletti is no longer there, but many players have gone backwards. The likes of Di Lorenzo, he doesn't push, he doesn't crosses, he doesn't defend. He might well sit on the bench if he continues doing that. And, you know, he gifted a goal to Frosinone. And Kvaratskhelia is very theatrical, you know. He's got very strong reactions, very strong emotion. Also, we saw it, the theater and the touchline with Mourinho. But you would expect assist, goals. You would expect to just leave an impact. I think he's been found out by Italian defenders. They double up on him. If Mario Rui doesn't help him with the supply of balls, he's struggling. And, you know, this weekend without Osimhen up front, yes, it's gonna be difficult. But on the other hand, Monza failed to score in 6 games. 2 wins and 2 draws away from home. The wins against Verona and Sassuolo, the draws against Cagliari and Lazio. It's difficult for them to go there and outscore Napoli if the striker Colombo only scored 3 goals and the top scorer is Colpani, 6 goals. So, you know, it's really the lack of goal scoring that affects Monza. I think it's going to be an under 2.75 goals, 182. If there are 3 goals in the game, you lose half a stake, but I can't see a high scoring match here.
Perfect. So that's the pick for Danny on Napoli against Monza. We now move Danny on to Inter's visit to Genoa. If we speak about Genoa, we have to speak about Gudmundsson, Danny. Their 2-1 win away at Sassuolo was done to his magic. 1 goal from him from the penalty spot, but mostly that acrobatic flying back heel assist for Caleb Ekuban to score the winning goal. They have won the 3 points at the back of holding Juve for a draw a week earlier. This Genoa, Dani, I don't know. I had the feeling they have the talent, in my view, to compete for European places. They are, or they can be, entertaining at times. So maybe I'm lucky when I'm watching them. They are entertaining. They miss Matteo Retegui and Junior Messias with Sassuolo. We will see what happens with them against Inter, which didn't have many troubles leaving behind Lecce at home. They have done it without Lautaro Martinez, who is out injured. Inter away this season, Danny, 7 wins and 1 draw, and only 2 goals conceded. However, this Genoa can definitely push the both team to score market. Can you see that happening?
I can, because Genoa are a very dynamic, energetic, and organized side. They're going to play exactly with the same system as Inter, 3-5-2. So Inter won't have the advantage on wide areas, which they always have against teams that play with 4 or 3 in midfield. It's going to be tricky for Inter to find spaces, and on the one-to-ones, especially in the defensive areas, Genoa can match Inter intensity as they did against Juventus. And look, this Genoa side at home have very good results. Draw with Juve, draw with Napoli, beat Roma, and lost to Milan in circumstances that are rather incredible, with Giroud ending up in goals. So, you know, they are very good at home, this Genoa side. Yes, lost to Fiorentina the first game of the season, but, you know, as a newly promoted side, you could expect it. And they interrupted a series of 4 away defeats with a good win at Sassuolo. Yes, they only kept 3 clean sheets, but they scored 11 goals at home at the Ferraris. So it's going to be tough for Inter, whose numbers are very good. Okay, they are on course to finish the Girone d'Andata, so the first 19 fixtures with 50 points, the same as Napoli last season. 25 consecutive games scoring, only 7 goals conceded, 12 clean sheet, record in Europe. Against Lecce, he was comfortable, he was tricky. Without Lautaro Martinez, you lose not only the top scorer in Serie A, but a player that is so good at linking up the play and playing well with everyone who's around him. That's why so many players benefit from playing alongside him. But Inter found the way of scoring with a first assist from Arnautovic. Now, 7 goals scored by defenders. It was Bissek who gave them the lead against Genoa, so it's a good time for other scorers to score. But can Inter go in Genoa and score a couple of goals? Because I think they'll need at least a couple to win this game. This is going to be tricky. I think, of course, they got to get the big advantage of playing finally before Juve and putting pressure on Juventus. If they win, they become Campioni d'Inverno, winter champions. Is a purely fictitious title, but
Yeah.
is given to the team that finishes first after the 19 games. It's a bit like Apertura Clausura, but obviously there is no title involved this time.
And there's no trophy, no, as well. No,
No,
there's
there is
never
no
been.
trophy.
Okay, okay,
No,
okay.
there is no trophy. But there is a statistic. Who wins
All
the
right.
winter champion normally wins. I mean, is either good omen, bad omen, if you believe in that. Genoa is an handicap +1 for me, 180. I think Inter are not going to win large here. And if I win by just 1 goal margin, you get your money back.
Good, that's the pick then for Genoa Inter. Inter to win and over 2.5 goals on the comment section we got. And then the last one of the 4 matches we got on Friday, this Lazio Frosinone. Dani, after the 4-0 against Napoli, I wanted to watch Frosinone. That 4-0 against Napoli was, as we mentioned before, on the Coppa Italia. A shame for them. They could not hold the draw for another 10 minutes for Frosinone. They are still anyway in a healthy position with 19 points, although we could see a dip maybe in form in December. 3 defeats and 1 draw for them. Lazio got back on track with a win away to Empoli. It could have been 3 for them, but Tati Castellanos missed a sitter. Is taking a little bit to gel for Tati in Serie A. However, more important than the 3 points, I believe, Dani, has been that they lost Ciro Immobile and Luis Alberto to injury. Yes. So in the last, and then I see something, I don't know how do you see, but in the last 9 matches in all competitions, when Lazio have won or draw, there is a pattern. It's like they have conceded when winning or drawing. So I don't know if a clean sheet for them should be the key here against Frosinone. To win 2-0 for Lazio is 2.8, a clean sheet 2.2. But how do you see it, Danny?
Is a team that last season has kept 21 clean sheets in Serie A. So you would expect them at some point to return to their mean. But this season has been very, very difficult because they've been much worse in possession and they have conceded far too many chances. Even Empoli had few chances to score last weekend. Maybe they could have deserved the 1-1 at one point. But, that was the first time Lazio scored more than 1 goal since October in Serie A. So that tells you where really the issues have been. They've not been really, really productive. The Immobile numbers are down. Everyone's numbers, Zaccagni, Anderson, are down compared to last season. And of course, missing Milinkovic-Savic, who's been involved in 17 goals last season, has proven much, much costly. I think Kamada, only 1 goal, 1 assist so far. Yes, you mentioned the absentees, probably also without Romagnoli. Only 5 games of Lazio have been over 2.5 goals because they got this issue really at scoring many, whereas Fiorentina is the opposite. Out of 17 games for them have been over 2.5 goals. A team only kept 2 clean sheets, but failed to score only 3 times this season. So they do normally score Frosinone. And against Juventus, I think in the second half, they came out fouling. They were a little bit naive, left far too much space to Juventus players, especially on the wings. Basically McKennie's cross, he had 5 minutes to cross the ball, and then Vlahovic jumped in the air, converted well. Frosinone goalkeeper not exceptional, I must say. Turati done a couple of mistakes so far this season. I think this is like a now or never for Lazio. If they want to go back into the fight for the top 4, they need to win this one. The next few games are all winnable, and I like the odds for Lazio here to win 174 against newly promoted Frosinone. Yeah, it could be a cagey, scrappy, low-scoring game, maybe 1-0, 2-0, but yeah, I like the home win of 174.
It's not bad at all. 174. Next one, Danny, we got Atalanta in Bergamo against Lecce. It's true that Lecce haven't won away from home this season, 5 draws and 3 defeats in Serie A. But this Atalanta is also not giving me at least too many assurances that once it used to. They left Bologna empty-handed, but to be honest, they had chances to open the score, especially in the first half with Ademola Lookman missing a 1v1 against Skurovski. Ederson also had a chance. De Ketelare, Muriel, they all miss opportunities. They are now trailing Champions League spots by 5 points, Atalanta. There is no great value on Atalanta to win, as we can see odds of 1.5 for a win at full time. However, a full-time win takes a first half win takes the odds closer to 2. But what's to look here, Danny?
I think Atalanta are extremely unlucky to be 8th in the table at the moment, because that defeat in Bologna, had they had a little bit more composure in front of goal, probably they would have won the game. And the goal from Ferguson, which by the way became the highest Scottish player to score in Serie A with 12 goals, more than Dennis Lowe, but Dennis Lowe was a legend of the game, used to play for Torino, is a mistake from Carnesecchi as well. So very, very unlucky Atalanta to left Bologna with 0 points. But the problem is Atalanta always concedes you something. They are a risk-taking side. They only got the 10th defense in Serie A. Consider an awful lot of goal. When it comes to the home form, they are much better. They are third in the home table. They are normally good against small sides. They scored 3 against Monza, 2 against Genoa, 4 against Salernitana. And with the return of Scamacca, Gasperini's got more options. Probably Scamacca and Muriel are going to still be on the bench, but having the opportunity to change 2 up front and bringing 2 good strikers, very good strikers for Serie A, I think can really change the game. Maybe more goals in the second half. When it comes to Lecce, they never get trashed. The only heavy defeat has been a 4-0 defeat at home against Napoli, but they only kept 2 clean sheets so far. Only 1 win in the last 13 games in all competitions. They held their own well at San Siro, but lost. And I think their numbers, especially if you look at the expected goals against, they are very, very high. So their defensive number, they are deceptive. If you look at the expected goals against, they should have conceded 10 goals more almost. So they will be penultimate in the table. Now, that means you're living the life really, really dangerously. This is a team that last season got saved at the penultimate game of the season. So they need to be really careful. Only lost 3 away games so far. Lecce, twice by 2 goals margin, once by 1 goal margin on Juventus against Torino. Incidentally, last season they won in Bergamo 2-1, which was basically key for them to be saved. The value for me is on the over 2.5 goals, which pays really well. 197. This is normally a scoreline that happens when Atalanta plays at home. And, Lecce might nick a goal here. 197 over 2.5 goals.
Carbonaro saying Atalanta to win and both teams to score, which could take as well the odds closer to 2 as well. We move now into relegation battle. Danny, we have Cagliari, Empoli. Cagliari is on 13 points, Empoli is on 12, but Matchday 17 was more damaging, I believe, to Cagliari because they lost away to Verona, a Verona side that was winless since Matchday 2. On the other hand, for Empoli to lose against Lazio, I believe, is part of the script. Empoli has 3 wins all season. One of those was against Salernitana, but the other 2 were away to Fiorentina and Napoli. So why not to dream for something similar this Saturday for them? For Cagliari, since the start of November, we see 4 defeats in 7 matches, Danny. But I have the feeling that they have compete anyway, despite these numbers, because 2-1 defeats against Juventus and Napoli, 1-0 defeat away to Lazio, a draw with Monza. They won against Sassuolo and Genoa. That is why the 2-0 away defeat to Verona was a bit of hard to take, I believe, for them. This said, odds of 2.15 are not bad for Cagliari. No. Can you see Empoli taking anything from this fixture, or you will stay with those odds we just mentioned for Cagliari?
But for Empoli, it looks like to get saved, they need to get points away from home because their home form at the Castellani is awful. They already lost 6 home matches. Only Burnley has done worst with 8 in the 5 top leagues, and we know where Burnley are in the Premier League. And against Lazio, I think Empoli were unlucky. They had 21 shots, no goals, so that's a negative record for them. They're a young side. being naive. They can't defend really well. Life is hard when you don't have Vicario in goal anymore, and that's been shown and demonstrated. So it's a team that rarely is going to keep a clean sheet. The clean sheet at the Maradona against Napoli is a freak result. You shouldn't go by those results to put a bet in here. So they need to try and outscore Cagliari. A Cagliari side that at home is strong, 11 points, 3 wins, 5 out of the 8 games had over 2.5 goals. 2 of those games against Frosinone and Sassuolo in dramatic fashion with 2 goals scoring stoppage time. They keep going. They got that momentum. They got a little bit of epic when they play. At the Santa Elia, of course, their away form is awful, only 2 points away from home for Cagliari, but is a team that scores late goals, that keeps going, they got belief. 6 games had over 2.5 goals in the second half for Cagliari, so high scoring games with a lot of goals towards the end. And I'm going to stay with this. I'm going to stay with over 1.25 goals in the second half, 181, which means if there's only 1 goal in the second 45 minutes, you lose half a stake. More than a goal in the second half, you win 181.
I really like that one. Second half over 1.25 goals. Then in that Cagliari Empoli. Then we have in Udine, we have Udinese against Bologna. Danny, of course, the bookies have Bologna as favorite here, although 2.35 for an away win sounds amazing. A very good odds on Bologna to win. It's been a great week for them, beating Roma on Matchday 16, knocking Inter out of the Coppa Italia in extra time, then a 1-0 against Atalanta to close the gap on Milan on third. 6 consecutive home win for them, for Bologna, in which they conceded only 1 goal in that run. The troubles, of course, have been away all season. Only 1 win for them away from home, although they can show two good draws against Juve and Inter away from home. But this time, Danny, they cannot afford to drop another 2 points. And against a rival like Udinese, again, they cannot afford to drop 2 points. And with odds of 2.35, I mean, it's very tempting.
It is, but they play against the master of draws, Udinese, who have drawn 11 games since the start of the season. This is a record. After 17 games, only Inter in 2004 had drawn 12 and Torino in 2007 drawn 11. And I mean, by the way, I don't think Udinese can get saved by drawing every single game. I know 38 draws is 38 points, but it's not enough these days. You need to win a couple of games. And Udinese in 2023 have only won 4 games. That's an amazingly bad results, and 2 of those games against Cremonese and Sampdoria, who are no longer with us because they are in Serie B. So really bad. 14 goals conceded at home for Udinese, a team that struggles a lot to hang on to leads, to control games. They also have a very bad expected goal difference. So basically they create a lot of chances but don't convert them. They really haven't replaced Beto properly. The absence of Deulofeu, it's costing a lot. But this Bologna side, I think against Atalanta, rode their luck a little bit, as we mentioned before. This is the best ever start of the season since 1995. Their away form is not great. Goal difference 0. Only 8 goals scored, 8 goals conceded, 6 away draws. They're going to be without Ndoye injured, but there is an opportunity for Orsolini, last year top goal scorer. Bologna play well. We said it's a team built with a lot of criteria, with a lot of intelligence, young players, confident players, and Motta is doing an extraordinary job. I would love them to go and finish in the top 4 because it will be truly deserved. But for this one, I think to find the value, I think that Bologna win, the odds of 235 are a little bit of a trap. I wonder if Udinese could hit them on the counter, especially at the beginning. I like the Asian handicap 0 in the first half for the home side, 235. Mind you, if it's a draw, you get your money back. But I think Udinese could score the first goal here.
I would love to see Bologna getting any Champions League spot at the end of this run of this season. From Udine to Milan, for Milan Sassuolo, Danny, for many in Italy, but of course you will know better, this could be the last match of Pioli, maybe in charge of Milan. But it's a cycle, no? It's a bit of a silly cycle, because if Milan draws points, Pioli's job is at risk. If Milan wins the next game, then Pioli confirms his job. If Milan draws points, and all the time like this, it's impossible like that. Sassuolo to win, odds of 7, of course, risky even in this context, but we could expect them to score at least, right? Only 4 teams have scored more away goals than from home than Sassuolo this season. Is the both team to score the market to explore here?
It is. That's what I go for. That's what I like. 173, both teams to score. Sassuolo have scored in all the last 3 games at San Siro. They won 2 against Milan and Inter, and scored against Inter when they lost. They are an awfully bad teams at defending. No clean sheets so far this season. They are going down. If he continues like this, they are going to Serie B because they can't win. They only won 4 wins this year, won against Inter and Juventus incidentally, but they can't hold on to leads. They've lost 28 points from a winning position in 2023. Only Spurs had done worse. And playing, I mean, it's one of the smallest clubs in Serie A, one of the smallest towns in Serie A. They don't even play in their own stadium. They play to Reggio Emilia. We know home support, basically. We know real objectives. They try to stay in the top 10. It is really, really difficult to make them play well. And now there is a bit of an aura. Yes, Sassuolo, the attacking team, the entertaining team. Well, he's the leaky team because they concede goals left, right, and center. Here comes Milan, who, by the way, they had a 2023 year incredible to believe. 16 defeats in all competitions, semi-finalist of the Champions League, the return of Ibra now in the capacity of advisor, and around 30 injuries, 25 of them muscular. So, I mean, if you want a gift for Christmas as a Milan, you just want a bit of consistency, a couple of 1-0 wins, that would do for you. But yeah, they conceded 20 goals, 9 defense of Serie A, only 4 goals conceded at home, but 6 out of the next 9 games are at San Siro. So really, the pressure now is on Pioli to get the points, to get the wins at San Siro, because they can't win the Scudetto, but by any means they need to throw the season away. I think in the Europa League they can still hold their own. They still the Coppa Italia to go. It's not a bad season. Probably Pioli is going to leave at the end of the year. Anyway, both to score for me. Yes, 173. I can't see Milan keeping clean sheet considering that so many injuries at the back. Seriously, Sassuolo haven't kept a clean sheet this season. They're not going to go to San Siro and win 1-0. Both to score. 173. Can hear you.
There you go. Now you can hear me. Yes, good one. Then both teams to score on Milan, Sassuolo. Then the one before the last is Verona at home against Salernitana. Yes, the draw with Milan was great for Salernitana, but Verona is presented here, Danny, with a massive opportunity. I mean, to create at least a little gap with the relegation zone before the end of the year. A win could take them to 17 points, higher than Sassuolo if Milan beats them. Verona, we mentioned before, won the first time since Matchday 2. In February this year, they took the 3 points in this fixture, 1-0. They will sign for the same straight away, I believe. However, in 3 of the last 4 head-to-heads, there have been goals over 2.5 in those clashes. Do you see a repeat of that?
Yeah, I do, and that's why I like the over 2.25 goals at 186. Verona have scored 5 goals in the last 3 home games. They are unbeaten, by the way. Score 8 in 5. Baroni have changed the system. Understood they were conceding far too many goals. Switched them to a 4-3-3 with Suslo in behind the 3 strikers, and the results are coming. Ngonj, 5th goal at the weekend, as many as last year. 4th goal for Juric, the big man up front. Verona first win after 14 games, but they've got better and better. Salernitana, on the other hand, they're bottom. They're showing a little bit of a reaction, has to be said. They're not giving up that easily, but they're going to be a big change of players in January with the return of sporting director Walter Sabatini. So expect 13, 14 players to go and come. 65% of Salernitana games have been over 2.5 goals. The bad news for them is Dia, last season top scorer, 40 goals, is out until March, going to miss the African Cup of Nations. Candreva, 9 goals, 7 assists in 2023, best midfielder in Serie A. Better than Barella, for me, is a goal game here. Again, the over 2.25 goals, I think, is nice because if there are only 2 goals in the game, you lose only half a stake.
And the comment section, Verona both seem to score and over 2 goals. That's what Chinon's is saying. We're pointing there on the screen. And the last one, Danny, we got, of course, a very good one. Juventus Roma in Turin, a great way to finish Matchday 18 and a great way to finish 2023. Roma in 2023 played 19 games away in Serie A and lost 9 of them, just 4 wins for Roma away in 2023 in Serie A, and those have been against Sassuolo, Cagliari, Spezia, and Torino. Juventus undefeated since the end of September, 9 wins and 3 draws so far since then. Against Frosinone was another late win for them, something we are getting pretty much used to already. Provided the away record for Roma and Juve's form, the odds for a home win are not bad. How do you see it, Danny?
It's good odds, I think. Juventus will play knowing the results of Inter, so it depends what kind of level
right.
of pressure they're going to be under, and I think that has to be considered. They can either cut the gap or find themselves at -7. Now, I said it many times, I don't think Allegri with this group of players can do more than what he's actually doing. Look at the caliber of the midfielders. And he's been really intelligent as choosing his formation. You know, he left Vlahovic on the bench, gave her a chance to Ildiz, scored in the second half. Vlahovic come on and scored. So, you know, the managing of the group is really good from Allegri, considering the resources, and they got many more points in the table compared to last season. But the defensive number of Juventus and the back three with Rugani, Bremer, and Danilo still doesn't convince me. Only kept 1 clean sheet in the last 6 games, and that was against Napoli when Kvaratskhelia and Di Lorenzo had 2 massive chances to score. I think against teams that play a little bit on the front foot, even against Frosinone, Juventus can go under and suffer. The biggest chance for Juve to win is probably to win 2-0. Roma, on the other hand, have scored 26 times in the last 15 minutes of games in 2023. A resilient team, and Mourinho's changes have made a difference. 8 goals in Serie A for Lukaku. The attacking numbers of Juve are similar to last year, same number of goals scored. Roma scored 9 goals more, so that's the difference of having Lukaku. There is even a tiny hope that Dybala might be back for this one, and that would be really important for Roma. Let's see what kind of physical condition he is. Chiesa should be fit. Roma, they are very good at home, 11 clean sheet at home, but conceded in all but 1 away game so far this season, 12 in total. This draw is absolutely useless for both of them, regardless of what happened with Inter. I think this is a game that in the first half is going to be cagey. It's probably going to be a 0-0. It's going to open up in the second half, as it should be. There are going to be lots of cards. Look at the cards market. I think over 4.5 cards, probably a given. Last week against Napoli, 9 cards, 2 sending off. Over 1 goal in the second half, 190. That's nice, because if it's only 1 goal in the second half, you get your money back.
If you cannot watch the first half, don't worry, but for sure, try to switch on the second half for this one on Juventus Roma. So that's everything you need to know for Matchday 18 in Serie A. Before we say goodbye, Danny, what's your safe bet on ACCA?
Milan Sassuolo, safe bet, Rossoneri win. Milan win at 151.
Lovely. And your ACCA?
4 selections, Napoli Monza under 3 goals, Atalanta Lecce over 2 goals, Milan, as I said, to win, so Asian handicap -1 against Sassuolo, and Juventus Roma over 1.5 goals. The total odds is 6.57.
Great. Danny, a pleasure as always. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a happy New Year celebration. We hope that Danny's tip could help you say goodbye to 2023 in style. As we always say, do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notifications bell. Bye-bye, Danny. Thanks a lot.
Ciao, Leo. Speak soon.
Ciao,
Bye-bye.
ciao.